soothing sounds from Milt. Oh, whoa, hi, hey, whoa, you caught me putting myself to sleep. No, not really. Probably woke myself up. Hey, do you have a musical instrument? You do? Yeah, some of you do. I have this. This is a ukulele. Um, I've had this for a while, but I'm not really good at it. And if you would stay here with me a little bit longer, you would know that if I tried to play it. But I have it, and I enjoy strumming it once in a while. Now, you know that I used to play the violin when I was young. Yep. And I was getting very good at playing the violin. In fact, I was with a group, and I was the first violinist for the youth symphony. But I stopped playing the violin and I don't do it anymore. And that's a long story, which we can talk about some other time. Now, the violin, you might have also heard to it as referred to as the fiddle. A violin is like a fiddle. Did you ever hear someone say that they are like the second fiddle, or that they feel like they play the second fiddle? You could hear someone might say, "Oh, I just play the second fiddle around here," or "I'm just the second fiddle." Did you ever wonder what that meant? What does it mean to be the second fiddle or to play the second fiddle? Well, the phrase to play the second fiddle basically means to be either a supporting or a secondary role behind someone who is more important or qualified. And the phrase comes from the practice that happens in the orchestra. In the orchestra, the best violinist, the person who plays the violin the best, is called the first violin or the principal violin. And they usually sit near the director or near the conductor in the center of the symphony. And they lead the violins in their section. Now, to play the second fiddle comes from the role of the second violin in the orchestra. And this person leads the group of second violins, or those who play a supportive role behind the first violin. They may be playing some other notes while the first violinist may be playing the melody, and so on. So they're in the world of orchestra not as important, at least in their role in the orchestra. So when we say to play second fiddle to another person means that we are talking about a person who plays a secondary role. Like, for example, the Vice President of the United States serves under and assists the President of the United States. So you could say that the Vice President is like the second fiddle. Now, some people may interpret second fiddle as not being as important. However, that's not really the case. You know that we should be very careful when we compare ourselves to others and think that we are not as important as that person. If you would say, I'm just the second fiddle, well, you're sort of putting yourself down, aren't you? And you're not thinking quite as God thinks of you, I believe. You know that in Colossians 3:12, it says this, you are God's chosen people. You are holy and dearly loved. So put on tender mercy and kindness as if they were your clothes. Don't be proud, be gentle and patient. So as we consider ourselves to be important in the sight of God, which is true, we're not just a second fiddle anymore. We're all fiddles, right? I think. But we also need to be careful that we're not being proud of the fact that we're important in the sight of God. James 4:6 says, God continues to give us more grace. That's why Scripture says, God opposes those who are proud, but he gives grace to those who are humble. So, there might be a problem if the first violinist and the second violinist began to argue with each other over who was the most important. First violinist might be able to say, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best. And the second violinist might say, yeah, but I help you, I support you, so I think I'm as important as well. Who's right? Well, I guess they both are right. The first violinist may be better or maybe the best violinist, but that person shouldn't be proud of it and lord it over the other people in the orchestra, don't you think? Yeah. James 4:10 says, be humble in front of the Lord, and then he will lift you up. Now we know that there are people who think that they are more important than other people. And these kind of people often let everyone else know, don't they? Yeah, I'm the first violinist. Well, these words are for them and for us from Philippians 2. Don't do anything only to get ahead. Don't do it because you are proud. Instead, be humble. Value others more than yourselves. None of you should look out just for your own good. Each of you should also look out for the good of others. And as you deal with one another, you should think and act as Jesus did. Jesus is our example of how to be a very important person and yet be humble, right? Jesus was the Son of God, sent to earth. He had every right to tell people who he was and to act like God. But did he? Well, he was God, but he chose at times to be a servant and to serve others and to help others and to not act like he was the most important person in the room. In fact, Jesus said this in Matthew 23, people who lift themselves up will be made humble, and people who make themselves humble will be lifted up. I'm okay with being second fiddle, I guess, because I believe that God has made me just as important as the person who plays the first fiddle or the first violin. And even though I can't play this instrument very well, I know that God has given me gifts and things that I can do well, and that I celebrate. So don't worry about the fact that you may think or that you've been playing second fiddle for a while. It's okay. It's a good thing to do. Don't let that get you down. All right. I wish you a day filled with joy and a day filled with peace.